1985. 7 kids, a treasure map, a condemned neighborhood, the Fratellis, One-Eyed Willie, and a trust fall into the ocean that somehow worked. The Goonies is one of the most beloved adventure films ever made. It's also, if you watch through the right lens, one of the most clear demonstrations in pop culture of the single most important thing that separates teams that quit from a team that keeps going when every rational signal says stop. Not strategy, not resources, not a plan. Purpose. Mikey Walsh had no plan. He had a treasure map, which is not the same thing. He had no budget. His family was about to lose their house, which is the opposite of a budget. He had no authority. Nobody appointed him. Nobody voted. Nobody gave him a title or a team or a charter or a defined scope of work. What Mikey had was a vision, so clear, so personal, and so completely non-negotiable that it pulled 7 kids through booby traps, criminals, underground rivers, and a very uncomfortable encounter with a large friendly man named Sloth, and held them together every single time they were about to fall apart. That's the lesson, and most business leaders have spent their entire career planning their way around it. Let me tell you precisely what Mikey Walsh had, because the movie is so entertaining that it's easy to miss how structurally sound his leadership actually was underneath all the chaos. Mikey had a vision, not a goal, a vision. The distinction matters enormously, and most organizations get it exactly backwards. A goal is find the treasure. A goal is measurable, time-bound, specific, and the moment you achieve it or fail to achieve it, it's over. Goals are important. Goals are not what held the Goonies together in an underground cave at 2 a.m. with criminals above them and a pirate ship below them and absolutely no logical reason to keep going. A vision is something else entirely. A vision is the answer to, if we succeed, what would the world look like? For Mikey, the answer was devastating in its simplicity. The neighborhood, their house, their families, their childhood, the place where everything they knew and everything they loved actually existed. That was the world Mikey was trying to protect. Not an abstract corporate outcome, not a revenue target, not a market position, home. And that vision, specific, vivid, personal, shared, is what made the Goonies impossible to stop. Because when the stakes are that real and the destination is that clear, the question is never whether to keep going. The question is only how. Paint the enticing picture, tell the compelling story. Mikey did both, instinctively, at age 12, in a cave, to a group of terrified kids who were about to quit. That's vision. And that's what your organization either has or doesn't, and no amount of strategic planning replaces it if you don't. I want to spend some time on the distinction between purpose and plan, because this is where most organizations and most leaders make the most expensive mistake of their strategic lives. A plan is a sequence of steps designed to achieve an outcome under assumed conditions. Plans are essential. Plans are also fragile. The moment the conditions change, and they always change, the plan becomes partially or completely wrong. And when the plan is all your team has to hold on to, a wrong plan produces a team that stops. The Goonies had a plan exactly once. It was Mikey's initial map reading session, which immediately proved to be incomplete, partially incorrect, and entirely unprepared for the actual conditions of an underground pirate fortress built by a dead buccaneer with a very dark sense of humor. The plan failed approximately 15 minutes into the adventure. The Goonies didn't fail. They kept going. Why? Cause. Mikey's vision was never attached to the plan. It was attached to the destination. Behavior. When the plan broke, when the map was wrong, when the route was blocked, when Data's gadgets didn't work, when Chunk got captured, the team didn't stop to mourn the plan. They adapted, they improvised, they used what they had. Consequence. They arrived at the destination that the original plan could never have navigated them to, because the original plan didn't know the destination well enough to account for all of what the destination actually required. That's the operational difference between a purpose-driven team and a plan-driven team. A plan-driven team stops when the plan breaks. A purpose-driven team adapts because the destination is more important than the route. In your organization right now, when the market shifts, when the clients change their requirements, when the quarter goes sideways, does your team adapt around a shared destination, or do they freeze because the plan they were executing is no longer the plan they were given? The answer to that question tells you whether you've built a strategy or a vision, and only one of these survived contact with reality. There's a moment in the Goonies that I want to talk about specifically because it's one of the most accurate depictions of genuine leadership communications I've ever seen in a mainstream film, and it was delivered by a 12-year-old with asthma. Midway through the film, the team is exhausted, terrified, and completely done. Brand wants to go back. Steph wants to go back. Andy wants to go back. The rational position, the one supported by all available evidence, is that this is a terrible situation and returning to the surface is the correct choice. Mikey doesn't argue with the evidence. He doesn't pretend the situation isn't bad. He doesn't fake optimism or manufacture enthusiasm. He tells the truth, the full, unvarnished, emotionally honest truth about what is at stake if they quit. The house, the families, the neighborhood. Up there, it's their time. Down here, it's his time. That speech is not a pep talk. A pep talk is performed energy designed to override rational objection. What Mikey gave was a vision recalibration, a reminder of why the destination mattered more than the discomfort of the route. And it worked, not because it was eloquent, but because it was true. Every person in the cave knew exactly what they were going home to. Mikey just made them remember it at the moment they were most tempted to forget it. That's what vision does in an organization under pressure. It doesn't eliminate the pressure, it reframes it. It answers the question every team member is asking in their hardest moments. Is this worth it? A clear, shared, genuinely believed vision makes that answer obvious. An absence or vague vision leaves people to answer the question alone. And alone, in a hard moment, most people answer no. When was the last time you gave your team a cave speech? Not a Q3 kickoff presentation, not a slide deck with a mission statement on slide 3 that nobody reads. A genuine, honest, this is what we're actually fighting for a moment that reminds them why the hard work is worth it. If you have to think about it for more than a second, it's been too long. I want to address something about the Goonies team specifically because it speaks directly to the human element, the most valuable, intangible asset in any organization. Nobody on that team was there because of a compensation package. Nobody stayed because of career growth opportunities or a clear path to advancement or a competitive benefit structure. They stayed because the purpose was personal. Every single one of them had something real at stake in the outcome. Their homes, their families, their friendships, the specific life they were about to lose if the neighborhood was sold. Chunk didn't keep going because he was brave. Chunk kept going because Mikey's vision was also Chunk's vision. It was all of their vision. The shared stake in that destination is what held a group of wildly different, frequently arguing, occasionally incompetent kids together through conditions that would have dissolved any team held together by something smaller. In your organization, do your team members have a personal stake in the destination? Not a financial stake, though that matters. A genuine, emotional, this matters to me as a person, stake in whether the vision succeeds? Because teams held together by compensation alone are loyal only until a better offer arrives. Teams held together by a shared purpose are loyal in the cave at 2 in the morning when Chunk's been captured and the plan is completely wrong and the rational choice is to go back. The human element question for your organization isn't just who are the right people, it's whether the right people are connected to the vision in a way that's personal enough to hold under pressure. Mikey didn't have to manufacture that connection. The stakes were real and obvious. Your job as a leader is to make the stakes real and obvious for the people on your team, to help them see the destination you're moving toward connected to something that actually matters to them, not just you. 3 moves. Take them back this week. 1. Test whether you have a vision or just a goal. Ask yourself this question and answer it honestly. If your organization achieved everything it set out to achieve this year, every revenue target, every growth metric, every operational milestone, what would the world look like as a result? Not what would your business look like? What would the world look like for your clients, for your team, for the community you serve? If you can answer that question in a sentence that makes someone feel something, you have a vision. If you can only answer it with numbers, you have a goal. Goals are necessary. Goals are not what hold a team together in the cave. Go find your vision. 2. Give your team the cave speech. Not at an all-hands meeting with slides and catered lunch. In the hard moment, when the quarter is off and the plan isn't working and the team is tired and the rational choice is starting to look attractive. That's the moment. Paint the enticing picture, tell the compelling story. Remind them what they're actually fighting for, not in abstract corporate language, but in the specific, personal, this is what we're building together terms that make the destination feel real. Mikey didn't wait for a good moment to give that speech. He gave it in the worst moment. That's the point. 3. Make the destination personal for the people making the journey. Every person on your team has a reason to care about the work, or could have one, if you help them find it. Your job is not to manufacture artificial enthusiasm about the destination. Your job is to understand what each person on your team actually values, what their version of the neighborhood is, and help them see how the organization's vision connects to it. When the purpose is personal, people don't need to be managed through the hard parts. They navigate them because they know what they're going home to. Mikey Walsh was 12 years old, asthmatic, and completely out of his depth from the moment he unfolded that map. He had no plan that survived contact with reality. He had no budget, no authority, no formal leadership experience, and a team that argued with him constantly and nearly quit on him twice. And he led the best team in 80s cinema. Not because he was the most capable person in the group, because he was the most certain about where they were going and why it mattered. That certainty, clear, honest, completely non-negotiable, is what made the difference between a team that found the treasure and a team that turned back at the waterfall. Strategy matters, planning matters, resources matter, all of it matters. But none of it moves people the way purpose does. None of it holds a team together in the cave. None of it answers the question every person on your team is asking in their hardest moment: is this worth it? Only the vision answers that. And if you don't have one that's clear enough to give the cave speech with, your team is making that decision alone, every day, in every hard moment, and they're answering it without you. If you want to build a vision that actually holds, paint the enticing picture, tell the compelling story, and make it real enough that your team can feel it. The pyramid of purpose is where you start. Links in the description.